Good morning, day 2 on my Australian Alps walk. Survived a snowy night up here at Mushroom Rocks. Looks like we had about maybe 5 centimetres down here. I'll spin the camera around in a minute and show you. I'm wondering what I'm going to get when I get up to Mount Erica. But anyway, we'll deal with that later on. I'm just having brekkie and packing up. I'll just spin the camera around and show you a bit of what's going on, then I'll film when I get going, I guess. So I got brekkie on the way. You can see there's a fair bit of snow around the outside of the tent. And I've got another 250 metres to climb. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, it's the crack of 9 o'clock and I'm away. So I'm going to get up Mount Erica now, and then we'll get an idea how deep the snow is going to be across the top of the plateau. To be honest with you, I'm already having doubts and it's only day 2. Anyway, we'll see how we go. Certainly pretty. Okay, I'm just slogging my way up Mount Erica. It's so pretty. I don't know if you'd see behind me over there. However, I've made an executive decision. I'm going to bail. I'm not going to do this quick enough to keep everything dry, I don't think. So yeah, I think I've come up with plan B will be I'm going to head back and I might wait for weather windows and do some bite-sized sections of the track where I'm carrying a little bit less food instead of these 7-day food carries, and a little bit less gear, and just try and pick some nicer window. Maybe pick the eyes out of it, try and get up Mount McDonald. So I've got to go back and pick up all my food drops anyway. So I'm going to be up in the hills, so I'll just try and pick the right times to get up there and do it that way. I just think I'd better to call this early rather than go a little bit late. I don't want to get my ambitions and ability mixed up like a lot of people do. All right. So yeah, look, if anyone was looking for a 6-week epic through the snow, not going to get that, but I will leave the playlist up because I will link basically I'll be walking the Alpine track in bits and sections over winter. So I won't do the whole track though, that's the difference. I'll probably pick the eyes out of it where I can. All right, I'll film a bit on the way back down. I've got Sam coming back to pick me up, but I've got to walk out of here. I've got a couple of hours anyway. All right, take it easy. Sorry about that. Okay. This is a bit depressing. I've made it back to where I started, where I slept last night. I might have a break in the rocks here in the cave. So while I'm up at Mushroom Rocks, I figured I might go and try and find this hut they talk about up here, this scout hut. It's locked, you can't go in from what I've heard, but I've never actually seen it. So we'll go exploring a bit. I've got Sam driving up from Melbourne to pick me up, so I've got a few hours up my sleeve. No hut yet, but some nice campsites. It's a bit of a rabbit warren through here. There's kind of head-high scrub. You can't see a lot. I suppose I could scramble up onto the rocks, I might get a better view. least I've got my footprints in the snow. I can retrace my steps easy enough today. I found the hut. It's slippery. So this is a scout hut, from what I believe, and it's locked. I suppose the veranda, there's rock overhangs up the top, but the veranda will get you out of trouble, I guess. I reckon, looking at the tea tree, there could be water in there too. Because that's the other problem with mushroom rocks, there's normally no water. There you go. Might go for a bit of a squeeze in there. Okay, so the hut is indeed locked. It's a Rover Scout hut, I think. I walked into the tea tree a bit. I reckon eventually you'll find water if you walk far enough, but it could be a law of diminishing returns. However, there is a long drop over here. So if you're camping at Mushroom Rocks and you need a toilet, you can wander down here. Mushroom Rocks is kind of all through here, but the main camping area is about 100 metres up there. So yeah, this is an interesting find. All right, I better go and grab my pack. Start heading back towards the car park. Okay, back at the cave. Overhang. Time to shoehorn everything in and drop back down to the car park. This is feeling a little bit melancholy. Backtracking a day after I started, but I don't want to get possibilities and probabilities mixed up here. Gee, it's such a shame. It's actually not a bad day up here today. I suppose the good news from this little attempt is I had a night of rain and then snow, and the good news is everything kind of worked as it should. All the systems kind of worked. My sleeping bag didn't wet out. I managed to keep everything fairly dry. However, what was concerning me was I've got 7 nights of that. I could have 7, well, more than that, 7 to the next food drop, and then probably I think 6 or 5 from there to McAllister Springs, where I could actually get into a decent hut and dry out. There is a hut over at Bob's hut over in Fiddler's Green, so I potentially could have dried stuff out there if things did start to get wet in about 4 or 5 days at the speed I'm walking, probably 5 days or 4 days, I don't know. But yeah, I need to rethink this, because going solo, I'm carrying a lot of gear. Obviously, I'm just utilising myself. I can't split anything. I'm not the youngest, and I'm not the fittest. Maybe it's not even doable, but I'll have to rethink how I attack it, whether I sacrifice a bit of gear and a bit of food and go faster. But that way, I'm not too sure I'm comfortable with the margin for error, you know, if something does go wrong. So I'll go home and have a think about it. In the meantime, I'll be doing some snow walks as I pick up my food anyway, I reckon. So I'll just be like section hikes on the AAWT instead of a through hike. Yeah, I better put my phone away before I go arse over on these boardwalks, I think. I'm almost down at the Erica car park. A sensational morning. Okay, made it back down to the car park below Mount Erica. Hopefully Sam can get up here to pick me up. I'm just going to have a rest for a minute, then I might actually start walking down the road a bit. There's only one way in and one way out. After the storms last night, I'm worried there's a tree down or something. She might not be able to get in. Alright, have a rest first though. So, I'm walking down, there's a tree down. Sam can't get up at the moment. I think they're trying to clear it, but we'll see how far I have to walk extra. Anyway, it's all part of the excitement. I've more or less dropped out of the snow now. There's just a few little bits floating around from last night, but not much. Obviously the wind's walked down some trees. So. Okay, I've walked about a kilometre down the road from the Erica car park. Sam's met me, so that's it for that through hike attempt. That was a bit of a bust, but there wasn't enough margin for safety for me. At the pace I move, carrying all my gear at my age, I'll have to have a think about whether I try this again or just accept it. Maybe it's too hard. I think if I was going to do it again, I'd almost have to go with someone I could share some gear with rather than lug everything myself, and that would mean I could move a bit quicker. Because there was no margin for error at the speed I was moving. All right, I will be heading back up the Alps though. So I've obviously got some food drops in the bush, so I've got to pick them up anyway, and I'll try and time it, and I'll do a few maybe overnighters, two-nighters, because I've always wanted to see this area in winter. I mean, I've done 1 and 2 nighters before, but obviously it might be all I can do at this stage of my life, I think. All right, I'll touch base on the next one. Take it easy. Sorry about the premature end to it. Take it easy.